Now, the federal government decided to reclassify medical marijuana. We'll tell you what it means for Hoosiers.
And we're looking at temperatures warming up into the low 80s. We're going to see a warm forecast for the next several days, including the weekend. I'll have a look.
Big changes are coming to downtown Noblesville. I'm Samantha Johnson. We'll show you the photos of what this will look like when all the construction is gone. Still ahead.
Good afternoon. Welcome to 13 News at 4 this afternoon. Dustin Grove here with Anne-Marie Tiernan in for Felicia. And we begin with breaking news out of Louisiana. The governor down there says there's been a mass shooting at a mall in Baton Rouge.
So we're hearing from the Louisiana Attorney General saying it's all unfolding in the food court of the mall. So what we're looking at here is a live scene right now. So far in Baton Rouge, we've learned that 10 people are shot. We have no reports of any deaths at this time.
There was a police briefing a few minutes ago. They told reporters it was two groups shooting at each other. As of right now, there was only one person shot who was not an intended target for the group's shooting. That was the words from police a few moments ago in the police briefing. You can see a very large police presence there right now, still a very active scene, a lot of police vehicles and officers there and yellow crime scene tape as they work to secure the scene and process that scene. We're working to learn more about what happened and if the shooter has been taken into custody. Again, that breaking news at the Mall of Louisiana in Baton Rouge, at least 10 people hurt. All right, now I want to get to that big news from the federal government today when it comes to medical marijuana.
It comes from the Trump administration ordering medical marijuana to now be reclassified as a less dangerous drug. Ella Rhodes is at the State House with us tonight. So Ella, we're hearing this from Washington tonight. How does this trickle down and what does it mean for Hoosiers today?
Anne-Marie and Dustin, the biggest takeaway is that there's no immediate impact for Hoosiers here in the state at the moment. But I will say advocates, pharmacists, even the Marion County prosecutor says this really just opens the door for a conversation later down the line if the state legislature does want to consider legalizing medical marijuana. So the executive order from this morning essentially classifies medical marijuana as a less dangerous drug. Previously, the federal government classified it as a Schedule 1, which is the category for highest abuse and no medical benefits. Drugs like heroin and cocaine are in that category. Now, medical marijuana is Schedule 3, right with other prescription medicine like Tylenol with codeine. Prosecutor Ryan Mears believes the role of the criminal justice system is to not be involved with simple possession of marijuana.
A lot of people in our community who are suffering and they find great relief from using marijuana. There's a lot of people with back issues who have maybe PTSD. A lot of veterans come forward and tell me, hey, I've been struggling with these issues and marijuana has really assisted me and helped me get through the day. And so I'm just happy that those individuals can take some level of comfort for them to understand that the benefits that they're experiencing are very real.
Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche says today's change allows for more research. But here in Indiana, it really comes down to the state legislature for the next move. Now, we did reach out to the state attorney general's office, Todd Rokita. They told us that they have received and are reviewing this executive order before they make any official statements. And as for local veteran groups here in Indiana, they tell us they're actually meeting with state leaders tomorrow morning to discuss the future of medical marijuana in the state. You'll hear more from them ahead at 5:30. Anne-Marie and Dustin.
All right, Ella reporting live for us tonight. Thank you.
Today, a Michigan man was sentenced for a deadly distracted driving crash that killed a mother and left her daughter with life-threatening injuries.
That driver was Gavin Mosley, and today in court he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for that crash that occurred in 2023 along I-465 on the northwest side. So he went to court today. You can see him there. That's his attorney in the coat. He's right there in that gray top right there. He went in the side door. This was a move that helped him avoid the large crowd that was gathered out in front of the courtroom, all in support of the Davis family. Wearing buttons with Sarah Davis's picture on him. She was 61 years old when she died in that horrific 5-car pileup along I-465 on the northwest side. So here are some pictures from that crash scene. Just a horrific crash. The investigators say that they found that Gavin Mosley was active on YouTube and Snapchat and texting and barely braking before he slammed into this car. This is a Honda CR-V. You can see that because it was a chain reaction crash, they had injuries and damage to the front and the rear of the car. Sarah Davis was the mother of 2 kids. That's her husband Kelly there, and then her daughter Rachel, and then also the son Alexander. She was in the back seat and she just died instantly in there. And you can see the Jeep there. That's what Gavin Mosley was driving when he crashed into the car. So Rachel was in the back seat with her mother. She was in her 20s at the time, had serious spinal and brain injuries, and she's been hospitalized for more than a month. She had to learn how to walk again and how to talk again. And so this court date today was just so important for this family because they've been waiting 2.5 years for the legal conclusion, for justice in this case. And they called it the legal finality. So the driver pled guilty under a plea deal for reckless homicide. So under that plea deal, the max time that he could have gotten in court was 3 years. But when they went to court today, the judge could have suspended all of that. He could have put him on probation. He could have sentenced him to no time in jail. But it was interesting in court because the judge today said really he would be abdicating his responsibility and his authority if he didn't give Gavin Mosley some time. So he did give him 3 years in prison. And the big hope of all of this, of covering this case, of the family talking, of the loss of Sarah Davis, is they hope it's not in vain and that people will rethink what they're doing when they're driving and not to drive distracted. Put your phone down and pay attention. You really turn your car into a weapon.
That scene was just horrific to see, and then the pain that it caused the family. And then you wonder how often is this happening? People are texting, watching YouTube, Snapchat on the road, going 65 miles an hour.
Right. I talked to Detective Chris Hansen with the Indiana State Police today, and I said, is distracted driving today, or what we're seeing today, is this the new drunk driving of what we used to say? And he said, all the time, all the time. Not always with a result like this, but more minor injuries at lesser speeds, people going off the road out of their lane. So it's an important lesson.
All right. Look forward to your main story coming up later tonight on 13 News. And thank you.
A developing story now. A father going to prison today because he left his gun where his 2-year-old daughter could get it, and that had deadly consequences.
Rich Nye was in the courtroom today with his camera for this tragic case, and it's highlighting how critically important it is for parents to lock up those guns.
23-year-old Leonte Anderson received a 4-year prison sentence for the death of his 2-year-old daughter, Harmony. Last July, the toddler found her father's loaded gun on top of a shoe rack in their home on Ralston Avenue on the near northeast side. The gun either fell and went off, or the child got hold of it. Harmony was shot in the torso. Her parents rushed her to the hospital, but she died from her injuries.
How do you plead to count 2, neglect of a dependent resulting in serious bodily injury, a level 3 felony? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty. Anderson made no statement accepting responsibility, but took a plea deal reducing his charge from a level 1 to a level 3 felony.
He lost a child because of this, and that will be very, very difficult for Mr. Anderson to overcome, at least for a long time, as well as the family that's in the room. They lost a child too. This is a tragic event that could have been prevented.
Anderson also has a 5-year-old son who may have witnessed the shooting.
The total sentence is actually 9 years, but the judge suspended 5 of those years. Anderson will serve 2 years on probation whenever he gets out of prison. At the Marion County Community Justice Campus, Rich Nye, 13 News.
Thank you, Rich. Indiana's FSSA, the State Family and Social Services Administration, announced today nearly $200 million of improper payments were discovered in a recent audit. Those allegedly improper payments went to 5 service providers. So the big question now, what's being done about that? That's a lot of money. State officials say they're responding by creating more oversight, including more audits, reviewing payments before they go out, and also more training. The governor speaking out too, responding in a statement saying in part, this conduct undermined the trust of the taxpayers who fund this program and the Hoosiers who rely on it. Providers who don't follow the rules should understand clearly Indiana will protect its people and its dollars with absolute resolve. Our coverage continues ahead at 5 with Ashton Hackman. He sits down with the chief of FSSA to learn more about the audit and also found out how families in the program are feeling about this discovery. Rob's in for Sean with our weather impact tonight. Hi, Rob.
Yeah, it's looking good for this evening. We are watching mild temperatures. We've had breezy southwest winds helping to warm the temperatures up into the 80s. That's where we're currently sitting for almost everyone. There's an upper 70 showing up there for Richmond, but a very pleasant day. And overall, we're not expecting anything in the short term. So if you have plans for this evening, it's looking pretty good. We do turn our attention to the west. A little bit of activity closer to, say, Omaha and the eastern parts of Nebraska over into Iowa. That is the next system that will arrive here sometime tomorrow, albeit we are expecting it to be a bit weaker. It's got some travel time before it gets here, so in the short term, we're looking at the next few hours being quite pleasant. Temperatures coming out of those 80s. They'll ease their way back into the 70s with clear skies for tonight. We'll end up into the 60s during the overnight and maybe even into the upper 50s. We'll put 58 here for our overnight low temperature for tonight, but I think a lot of locations, especially if the southwest winds stay with us, will probably stay closer to, say, 60 or maybe even in the low 60s during the overnight, especially if you keep a little bit of that cloud cover in place during the overnight. So what about your Friday? Because it is Friday tomorrow. We are looking at rain chances, especially during the afternoon, but I wouldn't rule it out earlier in the day. I'm going to walk you through this in our future track to show you when that rain is going to arrive, the chance for storms, and if we'll see any severe weather from that coming up.
The NFL draft is less than 4 hours away, where Fernando Mendoza is expected to hear his name called first overall. More on his draft process leading up to tonight, coming up in 13 Sports.
Also, there's even more NFL draft coverage after the break. We take you live to Pittsburgh as fans now are already pouring in for all the excitement that will unfold later tonight.
Looking forward to that. Coming up. And spring is here. That means it is time to clean out those closets. If you're looking to donate winter coats, maybe your kids have outgrown, the Coats for Kids Spring Clean is underway. From now until the end of the month, you can drop off new or gently used coats at any Classic Cleaners location. We've got all the info and a link to donate at WTHR.com/coats.